back to awareness versus helping the addicts. That's a very strong statement.
Well, we want to think about like prevention, and you wanted to say like, how can we better help the addict, or how are we getting resources out there, right? It's scary to go in front of people that haven't been where you've been, that are probably judging you if you share your testimony about the things you used to do, about the way you used to live your life. Like, that's scary. But how else are they gonna know when they have someone engaged in the same stuff? How are they gonna know how to help? Because if you think about it, it's only if someone knows a resource is available that they'll utilize it, correct? How are we gonna spread that if we don't go outside and share that?
There you go. That is the simple, ultimate truth. That is as close as I can get to saving somebody, is to make them aware of, hey, here's what's happening. Here's why it's happening. Here's why it continues to happen. And I'm glad you said that, because I'm fond of asking people in active addiction very, very important questions. How long you been out here? Okay. Do you have family members? Okay. Are you seeking help? Okay. Do you feel like there's enough help? How often do you seek this type of help? And I get the repetitive responses. And when I get those responses, I'm like, interesting. Now I know a lot of people that are helpers, or going back to your term, helping addicts who want help. And I know less people that are about the awareness. I being one of them. That's what I bring to the table.
There's a lot of opinions, and that's why I was very reluctant to speak on the first question that you asked, because if I'm ignorant, meaning I don't have facts or experience, and I just know a little bit, who am I to have an opinion on it? So like, I feel like there's so much unawareness. Is that a word? Because I feel like the word ignorant has like a very, very bad term, but it just means lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
There is so many, sorry, you know what? We're gonna keep it in the eye. We're gonna go back to the eye. Prior to me being aware of the fact that I may or may not have engaged in providing an opinion on something that I didn't have the correct facts about, I would provide opinions and use my voice on things that I didn't know much about. Or from the things that I did know, I have all the answers. I do not have all the answers. And then that's where the stigma comes from. Like, you know, all the time, like, I may or may not see posts where it's just like, saying you have the disease of addiction is a cop-out. It's like, hey.
Oh, say that again?
When, like, people are like, saying that you have a disease of addiction is a cop-out, I'm not just like, nuh-uh. It's like, well, what is that gonna do? I apologize. I have someone who is waiting for me to meet them. I don't know where they are. I'm just gonna tell them to call me when they're downstairs. I have to follow up with questions. I can't just provide facts, right? I have to be like, well, why is that something that you feel? Do you understand why it's called addiction? Oh, when I first heard that, I was also confused and felt like it was me blaming. No.
Let me ask you something. Just for our clarity, are you saying that calling or saying you have the disease of addiction versus something else, or having the disease of addiction?
No, just in general.
Okay.
Disease of addiction.
Okay.
Because like I normally I don't engage, and like if I get stuck in a scroll hole on Facebook, it's mainly like videos of puppies and dogs and stuff. It's never really like controversial stuff. It's just a happy place. But like if I scroll and I see memes, I won't really like engage in that, because sometimes know your battles, right? It's just like, I'm not gonna be all big and bad with my fast typing hand, whatever, but like, the way I respond matters if I'm choosing to respond. And I agreed. I said it was hard for me to understand the concept of it, but the term disease doesn't mean something that can be related to something like cancer. It means that if there are certain things that someone with cancer or diabetes needs to continue to do to maintain that condition that's not going to go away, they have to do these things in order to live the best quality of life while having this issue. If I made sense when I said that. I don't remember specifically word for word what I said, and I just I offered some literature, or I said I have resources available if there's any questions that you have, please, please reach out and ask, instead of how I could have been well, F you, and how dare you've never been there, and it's...
Well, a lot of times we get caught in our bubbles and we hear or we see something that we say, uh-oh, you shouldn't be saying that. We're all in this together.
How I care, I'm not saying I'm greater than NA. It's just that if I'm involved in an organization, even for the company that I work for, how I present myself reflects all of those things. And I try and be very mindful of that, because everywhere I surround myself, or who I surround myself with, that's the norm. I don't mean going out and speaking to, what you do with the interviewing and stuff, but my actions, if someone really wanted to say, let's say I had a bad reaction, they could have been well, acting like a typical addict, and it's just, it's where do we break that? And it's with us, and it's how we respond.
Let me respond to that more. I like that. How we respond. I like that. And which leads me to say, thinking outside the box makes it much more challenging and easier when you give yourself, when a person gives themselves time to say, well, wait a minute. I'll give you an example. You go somewhere, you hear someone, you say, oh shit, I like that. And then you tell somebody else about it. You all go there, say, it's not like it was. It's not like before, it's different. Things change. Things change. Well, it's the presenter or those that are presenting it. It's again words, how they change what comes out of their mouth, because we attract people based on character, integrity. I can speak to 10,000 people.
It's the vibes, it's the energy.
Or 10 people. I'm going to take control. This is why a comedian has certain leverage than the average person, because they demand it. They look you in the eye when they make you laugh, because there's an expectation and they meet that demand. If they don't, they gotta find a new job. Likewise, if we're not good at what we do, we give up on ourselves. Do you feel like you have support in that regard from the Addicts Helping Addicts? I dare you.
So, Blake,
You feel like you gained a measure of autonomy? Or empowerment?
Yeah, I just my voice has made a difference, because empowered women empower women. But I don't even just mean women. Empowered individuals empower individuals.
perspective on government policies as it relates to drug addiction? Or addiction, should I say?
So to keep the order, I would say it's needed. But I feel as though at times it keeps the healing and the actual process of recovery restricted. So we have certain policies that allow us to have additional funding, let's say. But then there's a cap on that funding at times. And it limits the access to resources or the access to success that a person would actually technically need. If somebody had cancer or liver disease or some other form of a medical diagnosis, there wouldn't be barriers besides insurance that would kind of dictate their healing process. And I think at times certain policies, it can be used for political power. And I think it limits. I think at times it limits, like especially coming from a community-based group, and we really see like the day-to-day changes. We really see the need to access. When we have like our government dictating and deciding what we can have, what we can't have, how we can use it, how we can't use it, it makes it very difficult to really support somebody where they're really at.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Does that mean, or would it be fair to me interpret that there are, for lack of better words, conspiratorial campaigns?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
And I
fair
think,
enough.
unfortunately, it's not just in this country. If you look at other countries, it's like that too. And
Other countries? Okay.
yeah, like Russia. You're gonna
Well,
look at
let
Russia.
me ask you this. Now,
Okay.
yeah, you cut in, jump in. Come on in.
Okay.
Please help yourself.
So, in answer to the question that you asked, Kerry,
Sure.
my feeling is government is not doing enough.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Okay, it's that superficial top layer of stuff. Let's just check it off, check that box off, to make people think that we are doing something. When actually underneath, addiction is a money pit. Okay?
For who?
For the people who are supporting, like for the people, the bigwigs.
Yeah.
They are making some serious money off of addiction.
Because you can't really there's no profit in healing.
Did
Like
y'all
there's
hear
not
that?
there's no profit in the
Yep.
cure. Do you know what I mean? So that's with all disease. Like if you
Come
think
on,
of
cancer.
right, like there's no profit. It
And it's an endless amount of, it's never gonna end.
I think if we're talking about drugs as the mental disease that it is, I think it should be legalized. I won't go that far. I will say I think it should definitely be decriminalized. Because it's the what is it? It's the stigma
Yeah.
of not only the drug but the drug addict.
Okay.
And those of us who have been there, done that, we understand way better than anyone. A lot of times these clinicians, the ones who claim who have all the paper and the documentation, they've never been there, done that. Some of the best clinicians that I've come across have been there, done that. Some of the best therapists. So I believe that eliminating the shame of being an addict can go a long way. A lot of what makes a drug addict continue in active addiction is the shame part. Is the way you can be disowned by the people that you love, the way you can be disregarded, the way your reality, even though as an active drug addict we try to escape our reality, it never makes our actual reality less valuable, less valid, right? So there's a value to that. And when I talk about the shame aspect of it all, there are some people out here that think shaming you is actually going to fix you or make you a better person. I think there are certain levels of shame that can be of use. But when the shame comes to talking down to you, to not taking you as a credible person, or thinking that you fit into a particular stereotype when you actually absolutely don't, I don't think that's being fair at all. So I think having a safe space for you to partake in whatever recreational drug of choice that you want, as long as there's resources there, I believe, to help those who want to escape that particular lifestyle, I think that would be a win-win. The addict has a safe space to go, not judged, but can be heard. I don't think I agree with that. I don't think I agree with the notion of the addict is going to use so they can't use anymore. I think there are many other methods of recovering from drugs and alcohol than just whatever group may tell you that, you know, the addict, they're going to use so they can't use no more. There are some institutions that have that way of thinking. It's one of the discrepancies I have, but I don't discredit the whole thing.
So people recover differently.
Absolutely. Okay. I think people do.
I go with that.
Yes.
I roll with that.
I think people do recover differently. As far as the people with the idea who want to make the notion that it's just kicking the can down the road and just enabling people. I don't know. That sounds a little bit like people who haven't been there, done that. I think it's a lack of love. I heard this before, and I like to repeat it. Think about the active addict as a beach, sandy part of a beach, and the addict like love is that sand, right? So the active addict has a bunch of holes on this beach, right? Follow me. They have a bunch of holes on this beach. They dug out the sand, holes. What does the addict, in some respects, try to do? The addict tries to fill those holes with something like feathers, something that doesn't belong there. Something that's a temporary fix, because be it the wind or be it the water, when the high tide comes, it's gonna wash that out, and you're gonna be left with the hole all over again. That sand needs to be filled with sand. That love needs to be filled with love. What's an example of that kind of love? Compassion, patience, understanding, empathy. This is what makes me so different. I think this is what makes you so different than a lot of these people. We know what the bottom is. And we know why we were at the bottom. So when we see other people dealing with that, we can't throw the baby out with the bathwater when it comes to, coming across people like this. It's just impossible for us. And if it wasn't impossible, then I would say you have something broken inside of you that has a lot of healing left to be attended to. I think that's my analogy when it comes to that. It's like a woman needed to learn how to be a wife, a man needed to learn how to be a husband. That takes patience, and that takes knowledge.
take a lot more than you ever could have thought of taking.